how do you feel like a man, if he was interested in you, how should he approach you?
I actually really appreciate opening up a dialogue or a conversation. I have been approached, I think it's normal to go up, oh, you're beautiful. Can I have your number?
Right.
To me, panic. I immediately panic. My girlfriend, she swipes left on everyone. And I said, if that person approached you in Publix, you would be all over it. It's because it's online and you feel that you have a million options and you can yes.
Oh, wait, hold on. Please say that last part again. Please say that last part again.
What did I even say? You feel like you have a million options? Yes. That it's easy to be like, no. But if this person came up to you in Publix and was like, hey, you would go out with them. And I swear, my girlfriend said, yeah, you're right. It's because it's so easy. Okay.
I've heard a lot of men and women talk about what it's like to try to find somebody that you may want to talk to. You may want to initiate, let's say, the courtship process, right? Mm-hmm. I can only speak from a man's perspective because I've only ever been a man. Typically, in my experience and a lot of the men that I've spoken to, it's like we usually initiate contact, mm-hmm. right? And so because I've been hearing more about this out there in different platforms about kind of like what's the right way to do these things. Mm-hmm. So I was very curious. I wanted to hear from your perspective, not that you're speaking for all women, but just for you. How do you feel like a man, if he was interested in you, how should he approach you?
Yeah, honestly, I love this question, and it really does differ from person to person, right? Because we all have such different personalities, so how we go about things and react to things are just completely different. I do want to preface with, I completely am empathetic to, the standard or the old, more traditional ways of the guy having to approach and how difficult that must be. And just rejection sucks. It's very hard.
Nobody likes it.
No, and to put yourself in that situation over and over again is really intimidating, and I have a lot of respect. So I want to preface with that.
Appreciate that.
I have gone up to people myself and I have been rejected. So again, I just know it can be an ego hit, even if it has nothing to do with you. If their partner's down the aisle and you just didn't see them and they're saying no because they have a partner, still hurts. So just want to say that. For myself personally, I think the best way to approach me is one, just don't touch me, which sounds so weird, but the amount of people who will just come up and put an arm on your waist or whatever.
Respect boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
Personal space.
That's automatically going to give me the ick, and now we're not off on a good foot.
Gotcha.
So I actually really appreciate opening up a dialogue or a conversation. I have been approached, I think it's normal to go up, oh, you're beautiful. Can I have your number? Right. To me, panic. I immediately panic. You can be the most gorgeous human being I've ever seen in my life. I'm panicking. I'm having an anxiety attack. I don't know, even if I want to give you my number, I feel like my safe thing is just to say, oh, I'm sorry, I have a partner, and run. So for me personally, I can see someone who's gorgeous and talk to them for 2 seconds, and now you are so unattractive to me, and vice versa. I have had so many circumstances where someone might not be my type, or I'm not initially attracted to them, but I talk to them and I'm like, oh my gosh, you just shot through the roof.
Continue, but I'm coming back to that point.
Okay, yeah. And it's happened to me so many times, in friend groups, etc. So to me, if you come up, if I'm reading a book and you say, what are you reading? I'm trying to get into reading, or I'm wearing all yellow and you're like, oh, I heard that brightens your mood. Something that engages a conversation. I think this does two things. I think one, it gives us the opportunity to see how we vibe. How is our energy? Can we carry a conversation? Do I feel safe in the conversation? Do I feel intellectually stimulated? And two, I feel like it gives you the opportunity to pick up on cues that can almost be a buffer to where if you feel like we're not getting it, you just spared yourself a rejection in a weird way, right? If you see my body language, the conversation's not going well, you can be like, all right, well, enjoy your book, and you can walk off. Right. For me, I feel like my looks are the least interesting thing about me. I have an ego, and so to me, I'm I have a lot to offer. Challenge me, get me talking about something. And then if I feel like we click, game over. Now I'll ask you for your number. Oh, we should continue. That's just how I work. And I know not everyone's like that, but I just think it increases our likelihood of getting what we want.
Absolutely. Now I want to. Okay, so hold on to that thought. I want to take where I was going to go back to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to put it in this context of online dating.
Okay.
So hold on to what you were just thinking.
Okay.
So where I was going to go back to was you mentioned how you can gain interest after speaking to that person, even if you were not initially attracted to them,
Big
maybe
time.
as physically, right?
Big time.
All right. So with that being the scenario, so online dating, so we don't necessarily get that opportunity to connect in that way, right? A lot of times it can be a lot of us texting back and forth. Maybe you're kind of building up to like a video call for some people. And also because a lot of younger people, they didn't have to do it, I would say, the old school way that I did, which is what you had to actually go up to the person and just talk to them.
So
Right?
scary.
Yeah. There was no like, I'm going to text you before. It's just, hi. And we have to drum up this conversation from somewhere, right?
Right.
Hopefully I don't have a heart attack in the process. But I bring that up because I love what you said. Even if I physically see you, I'm not saying that you were completely unattractive, but you just maybe weren't like the most attractive to me at that time compared to somebody else. But then I got to speak to you, and then I got to learn a little bit about you, and then I saw how you engaged with me, and maybe you had a very inquisitive and good ear.
Yes.
And you were engaging with me in a way that made me feel like you were genuinely seeing me, right? You can't really communicate all of that through online dating. I would really love to hear your opinion before I continue that thought.
Okay, so yes, I completely agree. I put a lot of weight into, so I'm going apps. So we're talking apps now because apps are the new way. Like we're talking Bumble,
Hinges,
Hinge,
the Bumbles,
right?
yeah.
I care so much about your profile. I feel like people think I'm joking when I say this. I dissect your profile. I read everything. If the pictures, not so much. I mean, I look at them, but I swipe right really based on your profile. And me and my girlfriends get into this all the time because my girlfriend, you know, she swipes left on everyone. And I said, if that person approached you in Publix, you would be all over it. It's because it's online and you feel that you have a million options and you can like, yes.
Oh, wait, hold on. Please say that last part again. Please say that last part again.
What did I even say? You feel like you have a million options? Yes. That it's easy to be like, no. But if this person came up to you in Publix and was like, hey, you would go out with them. And I swear, my girlfriend said, yeah, you're right. It's because it's so easy. Okay.
Guys, I hope y'all heard that. So,
Yes.
the reason why I asked you to repeat that point is because, especially in the form of online dating, I do think from what we've seen, there has been research to kind of touch on this, that statistically women are getting the vast majority of the attention, right?
Yeah.
So they have more of the opportunity to do the swiping left because
Yeah.
it does feel like there's like an endless plethora of options versus
true.
for guys, they can be going on there for days, weeks, months, even years in some cases without feeling like they get a meaningful match or have the opportunity to actually meet up with the person and get to know them. But
Right.
please continue.
Yeah, and then I would say another thing I do is I don't do the whole messaging back and forth. I usually engage in a short, brief conversation just to see if like the vibe is right, if we can carry the conversation. Because to me, I'm going to put in effort, so it just has to be matched.
Right.
But my thing is, let's go out, because I feel like you can talk to someone online for weeks, and the second you get in person and that energy is off, right? You know that energy the second they walk in the room, and
Yeah.
again. Why did we waste so much time? I'm a very efficient kind of girl. So can I cuss on here? I was going to
Yes,
say I'm
yes,
an
you
efficient
can.
bitch.
Yes.
So like to me, I don't want to be pen paling with you if we're going to show up and you're not going to talk. You were talking a lot when we were on text, and now we're in person. You got nothing to say. So I am very much your profile. I care what you say, your pictures. I hope you're smiling. And then let's go have coffee. Let's go on a walk. Let's go for a drink, and let's really see how things go. And I've met two of my favorite partners, that sounds horrible, but on apps. And it really was, we talked for 1 or 2 days and went out and hit it off.
I love that. I actually think that that's very refreshing because a lot of the stories that I hear, it's not exactly like that. I would
It's
say
not.
you seem to be more of the outlier.
I agree.
Than the norm.
I agree.
And I take that a few different ways. Mainly because, and again, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, apps are bad or they're evil or something like that. What I do think is kind of like the social media conversation. It's nuanced, right? So if going back to your comment about your friend is just like swiping left all the time, if that's what it seems like, I'm not denying that that's probably what it is, then I can imagine trying to put myself in her shoes, that it's not unreasonable to think like, oh, then I can just pick this picturesque person and I just have to swipe, for a really long time until I find them, right? Like they're kind of like in this stack. If I have a stack of 100 cards of potential suitors, the most ideal one that I want, that not only checks all the boxes but just looks like exactly what I would envision if I had to dream him up, he's there, right? And I just have to keep swiping until I get to him. That's me trying to put myself in a woman's shoes, right? Let me speak for the guy side. The reason why I asked you to keep repeating those points is because a lot of the men that I speak to, that's not true for us. You know, a lot of us, it is, you're sort of on this island and you're hoping that somebody, you know, wants to even give you the time of day, even when you've put together a thoughtful profile or you put intentional photos and trying to look, you know, visually appealing, which of course is very different than when you talk to the person in real life. And I think it just makes it harder for people to connect. So there's kind of this theme floating around. I was having this conversation yesterday with another guest. It's kind of like, to be so connected as a society, we're also very disconnected. And it seems like an oxymoron, but I actually think it's true.
Yeah.
Because we have all this opportunity to connect, and I think we don't leverage it all to the best, in maybe the best ways that we could. And I think it's also giving us these different complexes that make it harder for us to come together. So when you gave the example of your friend, which I love that example, if I was her, again, if I tried to put myself in her shoes, why do I think that I would want to give the first guy, the fifth guy, the 10th guy, the 20th guy, why would I even give him an opportunity to take me on a date? Why would I even invest in having a call when I know that I have 300 likes, 500 likes, 1,000 messages, however, you know, maybe in that inbox? That's me trying to think from her perspective, to try to say, like, I don't think maybe she's not being completely unreasonable. However, is that perfect guy in the stack? Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm just wishfully thinking because I'm like, well, I look good, I take care of myself, so clearly, like, this guy, this most ideal person I would want, he must be there. But then I'm also eliminating so many good possibilities. Like you were discussing, if he met me in real life and we talked and we were able to engage, maybe the physical appearance wasn't so attractive as much. But once we got to that part, I was able to see the real him, and I'm like, wow, I would have only hoped that I didn't swipe left on that guy, right?
But what's funny is the universe is funny because she's never had a partner. And so her and I have had this conversation so many times where, because I do speak very highly of my past relationships, and you know, she has had this experience where she just swipes left on everyone, and then every once in a while she'll go out and meet someone that she was really excited about, and there's nothing there, right? There's no connection, there's no personality, there's nothing. And it's, you feel like you have all this option, right? All this say at your fingertips, and here we are where, you know, she's never been able to build that connection with anyone. We are adults now, and she's not had a relationship. And so, and she's aware of that. And she's open. I mean, she's brilliant. She's one of my closest friends, and she's very open to it. I really think it's a, like a subconscious, the ease and these apps are designed to be, you know.
I feel like it can be very empowering.
Yeah.
Right. Where you feel like, that's why I said I try to put myself in you all's shoes.
Yeah.
That it could be very empowering, just be like, yeah, no, like I can do better.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But, and I love how you said it, because to me you sound very grounded when you talk like this, which I really appreciate. These are people.
Yeah.
And you never know. And I'm not suggesting, again, to be clear here, I'm not suggesting that everybody is your ideal partner. Because
Right.
that's obviously not true.
Right.
But maybe we're not giving enough options.
That's the thing.
That chance.
Yes.
To actually see, could this be a sustainable relationship?
Yes.
If we talk about things, again, more intentionally, being more clear, as you eloquently explained earlier. So no need to rehash that. Mm-hmm. I would like to see us get to that point. Yeah. And the reason why I even started asking these questions, and it also was for me, like, I want us to understand, because I want more men and women to come together, to have healthy relationships. I don't like this direction that I feel like we're going in, where it's just like, keep waiting, keep looking, you know, something better is always coming around the corner, instead of, man, but what if I have something great really in front of me that I could take advantage of? I think there always can be that option that you kind of have in the back of your mind, like, maybe I could have gotten something better. Okay, maybe you want that for your ego. But if you can find somebody who's willing, not only matches those clear criteria that you said that you need, right? That we all deep down need, and they're willing to put in the effort, and you're like, you know what? I would like to work on that with them. Why is that so much maybe looked down upon or not fully appreciated as much as this idea of, well, I can just keep swiping until I find exactly what I want. That to me seems to be like the dilemma. I don't know if you feel differently about that.
Yeah, I almost feel that it's not even that deep for them. We're sitting here and we're like critical thinking about like what's really going on, and like this conversation that I had with her, she was really like, you're right, I would have swiped, like if he came up to me I would have went out. Like I don't even think there's that much thought into it. I think it's that addiction and that process and that hit of getting liked, and it's the lack of intentionality. But I don't think it's like oh, I'm just gonna keep finding better. I just think it's the habit of, this is dating now and I can just keep swiping and there's always gonna be new profiles, and I just think it's the norm.
Actually, wait, pause on that part, because I like that last part you just said. I wonder if people do really believe that. They think that there's infinite profiles?
I feel like there are for girls.
Of real people? Of real people.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Not AI, robots,
right.
and
I don't
fake
know.
profiles. Do they
there's
actually
a
think
lot
it's endless?
of guys on apps.
No, I agree. No.
It feels endless.
I'm 100%. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is it truly though? And keep in mind, even though that there may be a lot on there, that doesn't mean that you want to entertain all of them.
I don't want to entertain a 70th of them.
Right? So
yeah.
I do think that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I respect that. Maybe, so you're saying it's kind of more mindless.
Yes. Yes, I think it's very mindless.
Like I'm passing the time?
Yes. Yes.
I could be listening to an audiobook, but I'm gonna swipe right on or swipe left on 50 profiles.
It's the same thing as pulling up your Twitter and endless scrolling, right? And like I feel like half the time people aren't actually even looking at what's on their feed. It's just picking up the phone, swiping, putting down the phone. It's a process addiction. And so I think it's the same thing with swiping. I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where I'm swiping so fast and I'm like, I just missed the love of my life. You know what I'm saying? Because you get into this like flow, and I do think that is probably the majority of it, sadly.
You gave me this thought now. Maybe, because you said process. Mm-hmm. Maybe because the mechanisms are similar across the dating apps and the social media platforms. The scrolling and the swiping. Not the swiping isn't exact one for one. But maybe there's such a similarity there that it doesn't cause you. Again, we're thinking deep about this. It doesn't cause you to really pay attention to what's on screen before you swipe. Like maybe it wasn't swiping. Maybe you had to. I haven't thought about it this much. There's like another step you had to do to get the person off of your screen, and then maybe it was easier for you to actually swipe right on them, so to speak. So then instead of you doing the same motion, essentially one for one, that kind of mirrors the way people maybe are on Twitter, are on Instagram, are on TikTok, because you are swiping for the most part.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more intuitive for you to just like ignore, as opposed to you, no, okay, I'm gonna sit down. Okay, Marissa just popped up on my phone. Okay, I'm gonna sit down, read her profile. Great photos. What is she about? Okay, cool.
Right.
And then if it wasn't so easy for me to like get you off of my screen, maybe I would sit there and be like, no, I want to send a message to her. She seems like she really got some good stuff going on. Maybe from like a process side, or maybe for the people who make these platforms, maybe it would make it easier. Because again, I'm talking about just how do we help create more real connection, where we stop swiping left on each other on whatever platform that you're on, because it seems like the mechanism is pretty much the same.
Well, and interestingly enough, I feel like with guys, they all just swipe right. It's like the opposite.
I think some of that is desperation.
Yeah, but it's
like
funny
I want to
because
connect with somebody, so I'm just gonna, if I swipe right enough,
something's gonna hit.
Somebody will agree.
and I've heard that. Like I have a friend who said that they just swipe right on everyone, and then when they get the match, then they filter through. Because I will match with some people, and I'll be like, you didn't read my profile. Once we start talking and they'll say something wild and I'll be like, my profile is very clear, like, cause you can have like the LGBTQ plus ally and like BLM and all that kind of stuff. And they'll message me something. I'm like, you did not read my profile, right? So it's kind of the reverse of that's not intentional. What my girlfriend's doing is not intentional, right? So I think it's on both sides. Agreed. And everyone's just getting missed.
I agree. I agree. And see, and I love and I appreciate being able to talk about this openly, because I think these are the discussions that sometimes we're having amongst ourselves or maybe amongst a small group. But I think that men and women, we need to more openly talk about this stuff. So again, we can more intentionally try to find each other. Again,
Men, have a woman check your profile.
there you go. No, I agree. I think that actually would be helpful if you want
Seriously.
if you want to increase the likelihood that somebody would actually want to swipe on you. Don't just throw up pictures and
No
picture of
holding
you with
fish.
glasses or
Yeah.
abs or the fish. That will work with some people. I think some people call those chads.
Yeah.
Is that the term? Okay. I still don't understand
Yeah.
like why we put certain names on certain people other than like Karen.
Karen,
I got that
right,
one.
yeah.
I know where that one comes from. But yeah, I just think it's important for us to think about that in a slightly more objective way, so that way maybe we can actually kind of come up with helpful tips, so when people do choose to engage in that particular app, because it does seem like that's the most effective way to meet strangers now,
Especially since COVID.
right. I was gonna say because also because like we kind of have the death of malls, so we don't really have those town squares and those open spaces where you just randomly would see somebody and you're like, Marissa was going to the movies and I saw her walking with this girl and I was like, man, she looked really nice, and I just want to figure out a way to come approach her. We don't have that anymore. And then you also mentioned COVID, so we went to the other extreme, right, of not being able to have those open spaces to have dialogue. And I think we need to find a way to get to that quickly,
Yeah.
before we have a lot of lonely and isolated people out there.